So I want to talk about hyaluronidase, which comes in many forms: aphidase, hydase, bitrase, hyaluronidase. So hyaluronidase is something that is used to dissolve filler. So hyaluronic acid-based fillers aren't meant to last forever. If we don't do anything at all, it would break down because our bodies also produce hyaluronidase. However, to accelerate the process, if someone wants to take out the filler basically instantaneously, you can get this enzyme hyaluronidase injected into the filler. Doctors are saying that it's impossible for it to have adverse effects because our bodies produce hyaluronidase naturally. But I think that we can think of a lot of naturally occurring substances that aren't necessarily good for us to be put into our body, much less inject. And that they have used hyaluronidase in way larger quantities for other things that it's been approved to do, such as emergency situations, heart valves, eye surgeries, and RNs can administer hyaluronidase as well, and they'll say that too. But I think we're comparing apples to oranges here because, well, that's not the same thing as using it on a filler. And in an emergency situation, aesthetics aren't really your primary concern. Some of these people are saying they've only had filler for a month and they're really young. They're like in their 20s. And if what they're saying is true, then I would believe them based on their photos. They're pretty striking. With their volume loss in areas they didn't have fillers in, or their claims that it's affected their bodies or even health concerns. But the lack of evidence that it could be harmful doesn't completely eliminate the entire theory. So, and that's not even the consensus anyway. Like, I'm pretty sure the majority of medical practitioners do admit that ink can affect tissue because, well, we have hyaluronic acid all over our bodies. It's in our eyes, or between our joints, all over our body, and it binds to collagen. It's not like this free-floating thing. So when you do inject hyaluronidase, it might not differentiate between your body's naturally occurring HA or the filler, so it can overcorrect. So let's say you dissolve your under eyes and your cheeks or particularly areas surrounding it can come gone. And then, but it's fine according to doctors because our bodies replenish HA constantly in a matter of days, weeks, you look normal again. But I think that we can't just assume that because, even doing non-invasive little spa treatments for me, like sometimes it takes weeks, months, years to snap back, and I'm healthy. And I think, like some people are saying, they're gaunt now and they have crepe venous or wrinkly skin texture, whatever. And I think that's even more distressing to have these, to open another can of worms and not know if given time it will resolve itself versus just waiting around. So that's something to be mindful of. And even if you didn't believe these stories that are anecdotal, if you go to the NCBI, National Center for Biotechnology Information, using hyaluronidase for dissolving fillers is actually not even FDA approved yet. So, it even says medical practitioners have not had many opportunities to study hyaluronidase for fillers. So what other evidence do we need here? Like, it's not very genuine to say it's impossible. It doesn't matter if you're the best plastic surgeon or use one drop of hyaluronidase when the enzyme itself is still in the gray area in the most abstract and theoretical scientific plane. Like we don't know a lot about this drug for this purpose yet. And an enzyme can act like a catalyst. It can it's not like hyaluronidase stops within 48 hours. you can't control everything. Like, it's possible it's still active in your system, and a patch test doesn't necessarily prevent everything, because if you did suffer adverse effects weeks from now or much longer, then you can have a false negative. And keep in mind, because these are naturally occurring substances, um, then scans aren't going to show anything. It's going to look like you don't have anything going on, and and then what? So I am not trying to scare people. Like, I'm sure generally, if you go to like a really good plastic surgeon, particularly someone who also performs surgery in bowel wounds in that part of the anatomy, they're going to be conservative and know what to do. But anecdotally, I'm not a professional, so I don't want to say this is how many units you need for this many units of filler. But anecdotally, some people have used as long as like 5 minutes and still happen with the best doctor. Um, so my point just is that if we're gonna act like fillers are normal and pass them out like hotcakes, then at the very least, people should be aware that hyaluronidase isn't like some super perfect science thing right now, and like the magic eraser. So yeah, if you are affected negatively by hyaluronidase, don't give up hope. There's always ways to improve unfavorable outcomes, especially with the ever-changing technology, which is really quick too. So of course, we thank your stories. Otherwise, we wouldn't have known much.